welcome back to the channel. Believe it or not, there are people out there that like it when I tell stories. They have been requesting that I tell more stories. So, get ready for another story time. I'm going to tell two stories, a metal story and a non-metal story. Something embarrassing that happened to me once that I thought I would share. Why not? You know, who cares? So, let me just jump right in. First story. April 1992. Entombed, Exhorder, and Dead Horse. So, familiar with Entombed and Exhorder, had never heard Dead Horse, went to the mall, and they had Peaceful Death and Pretty Flowers on cassette. So I bought that. Loved it, right? So, pumped up for the show. I should probably mention, I mentioned before that I went through a punk phase, right? So at this particular show, my head was shaved, and I had my Doc Martens on, you know, just saying, just for context, right? So, during Dead Horse, I was with my friend Jim. Shout out to Jim. During Dead Horse, me and Jim were sitting at the bar. We're drinking heavily. I was still drinking Absolute and Tonic, right? That was what I drank. So, after Dead Horse, we went up close to the stage, off to the right-hand side. So we're up close to the stage during Exhorder. So at some point during Exhorder, I forget which song they played. They played a song that Jim was familiar with because it was like on the a compilation tape I had that they were on, you know, at Death's Door, maybe. That might have been it. Anyway, I'd made him listen to this compilation tape multiple times. And when they played this song, he pushes me out into the pit because we're like right at the edge, right? He pushes me into the pit. So, go around the pit a couple times, you know, had some moves, you know. So, some dudes jumped me, right? I wasn't like being an asshole in the pit, but I think it's just like the whole, you know, the whole get up, you know, can be intimidating or whatever. And you just, you know, it's a metal show. You don't want these like punk assholes, you know. I'm trying not to say skinhead because you say skinhead and people freak out, right? Not all skinheads are Nazis, you know. I was not a Nazi skinhead. I was a traditional skinhead. I will talk more about skinheads in the next, not the next story in this video, but the next video that I do down the road. I had an encounter with a bunch of Nazis. That's another story for another time. So, I'm in the pit. These guys jump me. Now, all I know is 1 minute I'm upright in the pit, and the next minute I'm laying on the ground, right? Just what happened was a blur. Jim said that he saw my feet fly up in the air. Like they just, like, I think it was 3 guys. It took 3 guys to take me out, right? Yeah, 3 guys just ran and just hit me from behind, and I just kind of flipped. All right. So I get up. I'm in the pit, right? So I go around the pit, you know. I get up, dust myself off. I'm still in the pit. Something doesn't feel right in my leg. Every time I take a step, feels like it pops. Doesn't hurt. I feel no pain. But something pops every time I take a step. So I go over to Jim, you know, and I'm like, you know, the band's playing, right? So I'm like, I yell, I think I broke my leg. And I think he was like, huh? And I was like, I think I broke my leg. He hears me that time. He starts laughing and he pushes me back into the pit. So I go around once and it's like, no, something's not right in my leg, man. So yeah, I go back, I go around, I get back out, I go over to Jim and I'm like, no, man. So, we pretty much stay put, for the rest of the show. We go eat after the show. I forget where Jim said we went. I thought we went to Subway. I don't remember. I think Jim still watches, so he can maybe add some detail. But was started to feel some pain on the drive home while we were eating too, I think, is when it first noticed. So you get in the restaurant and it's like, yeah, it's starting to hurt a little, And then, the drive home, got to sleep, had no trouble getting to sleep. Next morning, pain. Like I go to get out of bed, and as soon as my foot touches the ground, just pain shoots up my leg. And it's like, yeah, I got out of bed and I had to hop on one leg, and I'm living with my parents, right? I hop into their bedroom and I'm like, I think I broke my leg, right? And sure enough, by the end of the day, I had a cast on my leg, So, got my leg broke. And I wasn't being an asshole in the pit. I promise, I wasn't one of those guys. But, and it's like, I feel the same way now when I'm at a metal show and I see some, like, skinhead looking dudes walking in. It's like, why are you fucking here? But I loved metal, And so, yeah, I still went to metal shows. And sometimes things happened. So, broke my leg. I survived, Thankfully, I had health insurance, So, yeah, all worked out. So, if you're still here, if you're still watching, this next story, just because I only have one more really good metal story. I have another one that's like a short story, not kind of going to be a letdown, I think, my death story. But I have another good story, a DRI story, and then, that's it for metal stories. So I thought I would tell a story, something embarrassing, something that I've never told anyone. I don't even think I told my parents about this, because it's not something that you brag about, right? Where do I begin? I'll give it a title. Let's call this story Flea Market Psychic. Flea Market Psychic. So, back in the early 90s, I had a booth at an indoor flea market. It was called the Flea Mall, right? Used to be some department store like a Target or something, I don't remember. And went out of business, so they built like booths, stalls, and rented them out, and it was like a flea market, that was open. I don't know if it was open 7 days a week. It might have been closed kind of like a Monday, Tuesday kind of thing, but I know it was open during the week, several days during the week. I don't remember for sure. Not important, not relevant to the story. So I had a booth. I sold comics at the time. So I'm selling comics there at the flea mall. So there was, what happened first? There was a psychic that had a booth at the flea mall. Now, I've never been to a psychic before. I do not believe in psychics. It's bullshit, right? It's my opinion. Psychics are bullshit. She seemed like a nice lady, right? And it was like $5 for a reading or whatever, right? So I thought, she doesn't get a lot of business. I'll toss her $5, right? So I sat down for a reading, right? So you know how this stuff works. She starts throwing out a lot of vague bullshit, right? So vague that it applies to like half the people. And then she just tries to narrow you down, kind of thing. So I'm like, yeah, I was going along with it. I was being honest, and answering. So it just seemed like it was tarot cards. And she's like, she does this thing and she's like, she saw marriage, in my future. And I'm like, it's not possible. I don't even have a girlfriend. I didn't have a girlfriend at that point, at this particular point. Not anybody. Like, nothing going on. Impossible that I would be getting married anytime soon, right? So she's like, nobody in your family? I'm like, no, nobody in my family is getting married. Nothing like that. So she like reshuffles the cards and she's like, it's you. It keeps coming up, it's you. You're getting married. And I'm like, okay, don't even have a girlfriend. Don't know who I'm getting married to. And she's just kept, that's what they say. You're getting married. I see marriage in your future. And she stood by it, even though I told her, like, it's not even possible. So that was my experience with the psychic, right? So I don't remember if it was the same day or possibly the next day. But there was this really, really cute girl that had a booth. It wasn't her, it was her father's booth, and she ran it for him. He paid her because he had a different booth somewhere else that he managed, and he paid her to run this booth. And when I would walk through the flea mall, she would smile at me. So I'd stop and talk to her, because that's what you do when a pretty girl smiles at you, right? So we would, talk a little, nothing serious, just chit chat, how you doing, talk about the flea mall, talk about the vendors, the local gossip. So that was cool. I always enjoyed, walking past and chatting with her. So that had been going on for a while. So like I said, either the same day that I got the psychic reading or the following day possibly, it was like right there in the ballpark though. The security guard, there was a really nice security guard that would walk through the flea mall, looking for shoplifters or whatever. Nice guy. He'd stop and talk to you. He handed me a note one day. It's like, here, I forget her name. Don't remember her name. But he handed me this note. It's like, yeah, she told me to give it to you. I opened the note. She asked me out on a date, right? So, right, that's cool. First time a girl's asked me out on a date, right? So, of course, I said yes. She was really, really pretty, right? She was beautiful and she was blessed, if you know what I'm saying. We go out on a date. We go to a movie. Pick her up at her place. We go to a movie. We went. It was one of the Children of the Corn sequels, so I could probably look it up and pinpoint the date. But it was, the one of the Children of the Corn sequels was in theaters, and that's why we went to see. Believe it was her idea. I'm not a big fan of like mainstream, horror movies. So like Children of the Corn, like I don't even bother watching that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's me. That's a different video. Went to the movies, held hands a little bit. Went back to her place. She asked me inside, right? So I go inside, and I'm sitting on the couch, and I don't think I mentioned she was recently divorced, possibly separated. Her husband wasn't around, put it that way. Pretty sure she was divorced or in the process, kind of thing. So, sitting on the couch, and she asked if I wanted something to drink. I'm like, sure, what do you got? She's like, I think I've got some of my ex's beer still, still, well, did you just leave yesterday? You still got beer in the refrigerator? So I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So yeah, she brings me a Schlitz malt liquor from the refrigerator. And I'm sitting there, and she's like, let me slip into something more comfortable. She was dressed kind of nice for the date, So she comes out, and she was wearing, I wouldn't call it it's just something casual, right? Like a loose-fitting shirt with no bra kind of thing, So she was really jiggly. And so it became obvious that I was going to get lucky, right? So I'm sitting there, sipping my schnitz. I actually went through a malt liquor phase, so it was no problem drinking a Schlitz, So I drinking my Schlitz, and my things are going through my head now. Like, okay, she's let it be known I'm going to get lucky, right? Suddenly it occurred to me that I didn't have any condoms. And somehow, in my twisted brain, when I realized that I didn't have condoms, what went through my head was, I'm going to knock her up, right? She already had 2 little kids, like very young kids. They were at the grandparents', that night. I knew her dad. Her dad was huge. He's just one of these huge guys, Ben Grimm looking guys, So I got it in my head that I was going to knock her up. Her dad was going to make me marry her. And something clicked. That's what the psychic was talking about. I'm going to knock this chick up and have to marry her. The psychic was trying to warn me, right? So right then and there, all the blood rushed back into my brain, and I started thinking, I gotta get out of here, right? Gotta get out of here now, So I finished my beer, and I come up with an excuse. Gotta work at 5 a.m. or whatever. I gotta get out of here, is all I was thinking. So I get up, and I start heading for the door. And she runs over, and she stops me, and she pushes me against the wall, and she presses up against me, and she starts kissing me. And these are not goodbye kisses, right? These are you're staying kisses. And what's running through my head while I'm kissing this beautiful woman is, I got to get out of here, right? There's a point of no return once this starts happening, right? And I knew I had to get out of here before I said, oh, fuck it, because that could happen, right? So yeah, I just waited for her to take a breath, and I kind of gently pushed her back, and I headed straight for the door. And I don't know if I ran or not, but yeah, I got out of there really quick. And yeah, she never talked to me again after that. So, you know, soon after, the flea mall went out of business because an indoor flea market open during the week just is not a good idea. Didn't go over, went out of business. I moved back to the other flea market because there was another regular flea market, outdoor market, set up there. Saw her about a year later with a new man, boyfriend or husband, pushing a baby stroller with a brand new baby in it. So, you know, I've never been to a psychic since, but I don't know. I still to this day, I think that was some kind of warning from a psychic. Even though I don't believe in psychics, I don't know. If I had to do things over, I would just make sure I had condoms, right? Or just ask her. Maybe she had condoms, you know. Who knows? But no, I freaked out and just had to get out of there, and it was because of that psychic. You know, I just was convinced because, you know, man, yeah. So that was terrible. Not metal at all. That is very not metal. An unmetal story, you know, getting out of there because of a psychic. You know, cock blocked by a psychic. So, that's it. That's all I'm going to talk about tonight. Tell you what I'm working on. I am actively working on my Chris Barnes video, right? I took some test videos before I started the channel, and two of them were Chris Barnes rants. So I've got those old test videos and I'm chopping them up. I'm going to show you some clips, right? So that's going to be a treat in the Chris Barnes video. I repaired my vest, kind of half-assed repaired my vest. So I might do a vest video soon. Collection update. I've got a mini 3-record collection update that I'm going to try to do in the next few days. Just something I threw together kind of last minute. I do need to listen to one of the records and take a couple of notes. But yeah, it's like a 3-record, just a small collection update. See how that goes over. Getting ready to order something from Nuclear War Now. Possibly also going to place an order with Hell's Headbangers. So I'll do collection updates for that stuff when it arrives. Haven't ordered them yet, though, you know. But very, very soon. What else? Oh, something special. Had something that I was going to save for like hitting 500 subscribers or some milestone, you know. But I've decided to just do it and upload it when it's done and not worry about it being something special. I've compiled some bloopers. You know, I mess up a lot. And sometimes I mess up and it's funny. So I've been, you know, stuff that I've cut out of my videos that you haven't seen, I've been saving it in a folder. And I might do a blooper video, you know, show me screwing up, messing up my lines and whatnot. And, you know, we'll see. But no, we'll not see. I mean, I'm doing it. I've already started editing. You know, I'm going to introduce the clips, give you some context, you know. So, yeah, I'm going to work on this. And I'm really motivated to do videos right now. So, I'm going to try to knock a few out, you know. So, I'm going to just end it, you know, keep it shorter than I thought. You know, it's good length. It'll be under 30 minutes. So, thank you for watching. Thank you, subscribers. Subscribers are going up pretty steady. Appreciate it. You'll get the weekend medal this weekend, if nothing else before. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging in till the end. You know, see you next time.